Hi, crafty people. Thanks for coming back to see another project with using Miss Ink stamps. And today I thought I would use this half heart stamp since we're coming up on Valentine's Day. So I thought I would try something Valentine-ish. So I'm using my stamp platform, but I won't be using it in the traditional sense. I'm using it mainly as a surface to do my stamping. So I'm going to ink up this stamp with some Versamark embossing ink, and I'm going to try an emboss and resist technique. So I make sure I ink that up really well, and I'm going to create like a background image or a background pattern with this one stamp. And you can do this with any stamp. The trick is to make sure, I think, to ink up the stamp after each stamping, but also to make sure you go off the page some and stagger the images to not just have them completely just on the page, to give it the look as if it was a pattern and if it was a sheet of paper that was created that way. So that's what you see me doing there. So after I complete the images, I heat emboss with clear ink, and now I take some oxides, but you can use any inks you have, and I decided to use some reds and some pinks. So candy apple, berries, and glitch flamingo, but you can use any color family. So I just picked these three inks because I wanted to get an ombre effect. So that's what you see me doing here. And I'm just laying down the inks one after the other in an ombre sort of pattern. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because with the emboss resist technique, it will be beautiful once you see those images pop. And so here I'm adding the last of the lightest of the three colors, which is the glitch flamingo. And I find to get a complete blend, I tend to go back over once again and lay down all three colors to make sure they blend well. So that's what you see me doing there. So after I get through with the inking, you take a dry cloth, and what you're going to do, you are actually rubbing off the ink from the embossed images, and that way they'll really show through. You can see the result it gets. So in order to complete my card, I thought I would use these cute little birds from the Springtime's Banner stamp set, and I thought I would stamp them and color them. So I'm going to use some blues, and you see my fingers are a little inky. It'll wear off eventually, but if you don't like inking fingers, you can always use gloves. So I'm just coloring up my images, and I wanted to use blues to be a contrast with the red and pink background that I have. So I'm just coloring these up, and I thought I would try this technique because I enjoy trying new things, and this was something I hadn't done before. So I'm just coloring them up, adding the blues, and then adding a little gray for the body. So here I'm making a 5x7 card, but I wanted to trim this base, trim this top layer, so I would have a white border around. So I'm taking off a 1/4 inch. So the measurements of this layer would be 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. And that'll give it just enough border when laying it on top of the card base. So here I have my sentiment. I stamped the heart itself in clear and embossed it with gold ink. And so here I'm trying to see if I want it flat or if I wanted to use dimension for the card base. So I decided to just glue the top layer onto the base itself. And I'm liking that border. I'm liking that white border around it. So really cute. And so I did pop up this gold heart on dimension. I love adding dimensional foam to cards, and that's a way you can add interest without adding too much to a card. So then I added my birds, and here I'm adding the sentiment, and this came from the Everyday Sentiment stamp set, You're in My Heart. So here's my finished card, and again, it wouldn't be me without adding a little sparkle, so that's what you see there at the end. So thank you for watching. We would love to see what you create in our Facebook group, Miss Ink Pad.